Sarah Ferguson just shocked the UK with a jaw-dropping live TV revelation, exposing a hidden past between Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew. What she said wasn't vague or accidental. It was sharp, specific, and deliberate. Now, the royal family is in chaos, and the world can't look away. Sarah drops the bomb live. Meghan and Andrew's secret connection exposed. In a moment no one expected, Sarah Ferguson stunned the UK by revealing a hidden connection between Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew, live on national television. And this wasn't a slip. It was a controlled, deliberate bombshell. Appearing on a popular morning talk show, Sarah casually referenced a private social circle in 2009 London, claiming Meghan and Andrew had crossed paths long before Meghan joined the royal family. At first, she danced around the details, but then came the blow. Some bonds were formed long before the public ever knew. Some not entirely innocent. The hosts froze. Viewers were left breathless. Within minutes, social media lit up. Did Meghan know Andrew before Harry? What kind of connection were they hiding? Why now? By the end of the broadcast, headlines exploded across UK media. This wasn't gossip. It was a live detonation. And suddenly, the palace's old secrets weren't so secret anymore. Meghan and Andrew, the hidden years that raise alarms. In the hours after Sarah's reveal, deeper cracks started to show, and they weren't just rumors. According to longtime insiders, Meghan attended exclusive, high-level parties in London during the late 2000s and early 2010s. These weren't red carpet events. They were quiet, invitation-only gatherings at private homes, known only to royals, diplomats, and select influencers. What raised eyebrows? Meghan, then a relatively unknown actress, allegedly requested Prince Andrew's personal driver for late-night pickups. Not once, but several times. Sarah hinted these weren't casual visits. Meghan reportedly made private trips to Andrew's residence, far from paparazzi or public schedules. Some say she was introduced to members of Andrew's tight inner circle, people with ties to money, media, and control. Why did Meghan move in such powerful circles before Harry? And why is Sarah speaking now? Some call it revenge. Others say it's justice. But one thing is clear. This connection was real, and it was buried. Until now. The driver speaks, and what he says changes everything. Just days after Sarah Ferguson's live TV shocker, the story took a sharper turn. Prince Andrew's former personal driver, silent for over a decade, stepped into the spotlight. Speaking on the very podcast where Sarah's remarks first gained traction, the driver calmly confirmed what many had feared. "Yes," he said, "I drove Meghan Markle to Andrew's residence more than once." He detailed 3 separate occasions backed by logbook entries with exact dates and times. These weren't vague memories, they were documented trips. He referred to Meghan as a special guest, saying her arrivals were expected, private, and pre-cleared. "It wasn't casual," he said. "It was deliberate." This testimony instantly transformed the story. What began as speculation had now become verifiable pattern, confirmed by someone inside the vehicle. The media pounced, royal aides went silent, and the public? They wanted more. Private hotels, forgotten items, and silent witnesses. What came next blew the lid completely off. The driver didn't just confirm trips, he shared details too specific to ignore. Late-night drop-offs at hidden entrances. Meghan appearing shaken, sometimes emotional. Forgotten items, a coat, a handwritten note, a phone charger, all quietly returned through back channels. He described discreet pickups at high-end London hotels, some used for no more than a few hours. One account even mentioned a midnight stop, where Andrew himself opened the door. And it wasn't just residences. The driver recalled yacht invitations and private bar gatherings involving Andrew's elite circle, outings Meghan allegedly attended while keeping a low profile. This wasn't friendship. This was a routine, organized, protected, and known to very few. Until now. The silence around these years is no longer holding. The veil is lifting, and the past is catching up. The anonymous friend's story shakes the palace again. Just when the dust started to settle, a new voice entered the chaos, and it blew everything wide open again. An anonymous woman, claiming to be a longtime friend of Sarah Ferguson, appeared on a protected podcast interview. Her voice was distorted, her identity masked. But her words? Sharp and unforgettable. She revealed that Meghan was a regular presence at royal-adjacent gatherings in the early 2000s, long before she ever met Prince Harry. And according to her, Meghan wasn't just socializing. She was observing, positioning, getting close. She knew what she wanted, the source said. She knew where the power was. The woman claimed Meghan actively sought out Andrew, showing unusual interest and forming what she called a quiet alliance that disrupted Sarah's hopes of reconciling with her ex-husband. Hours later, Sarah publicly confirmed the claims were true. The monarchy braced itself. The story was no longer hearsay, but it was building into something that couldn't be buried. Sarah's book deal, the coffin nail that makes it all real. Then came the final blow, one that proved this wasn't a media stunt. Sarah Ferguson announced a book. Title: The Rise and Fall of the House of York. Release date: 2026. Not a memoir, not a revenge piece, but a researched archive with timelines, letters, receipts, and personal accounts of everything she had remained silent about for decades. Early leaks confirmed what many feared: Meghan Markle is named repeatedly, alongside verified documentation, travel logs, event lists, and even copies of communications between palace aides and Andrew's inner circle. One chapter, sources say, is entirely focused on the years before Harry. Meghan's legal team issued quiet threats behind the scenes, attempting to stall the release. But publicly? Nothing, no denial, no defense. And in the eyes of the public, silence now speaks louder than any statement ever could. The fallout begins. Meghan's public image crashes overnight. Once the revelations hit global headlines, the consequences were swift and brutal. Major brands began quietly distancing themselves. Netflix, once Meghan and Harry's golden ticket to post-royal fame, paused 2 upcoming projects without explanation. Invitations to elite galas vanished. Publicists stopped picking up the phone. In just 48 hours, Meghan's carefully built image as a feminist icon, philanthropist, and modern royal began to crumble. Polls across the UK and US showed a dramatic drop in public trust. Even loyal supporters started asking hard questions. Why hadn't any of this surfaced before? And why was Meghan staying silent now? Social media erupted with debates. Was Sarah seeking revenge, or just exposing the truth? Commentators dug through old interviews, old photos, old appearances, looking for clues they'd missed. And hanging over it all like a dark cloud, the Epstein connection. The one thing no one wanted to say out loud was now being whispered everywhere. Sarah and Andrew, the final blow to a strange bond. The personal fallout didn't stop with Meghan. Inside Royal Lodge, the decades-long unconventional relationship between Sarah and Prince Andrew crumbled. King Charles, under immense pressure to restore public faith in the monarchy, reportedly issued a firm order. Andrew must leave Royal Lodge. No more special treatment, no more silent protection, no more privilege. Sarah, blindsided, was said to be devastated, not just for losing her home, but for watching the last connection to her royal life collapse. But insiders say this was always coming, and Sarah knew it. They believe her revelations weren't just aimed at Meghan, but also at Andrew, a man who had kept secrets from her for years, even after their divorce. "You lost the crown," she reportedly told a friend. "You don't get to keep the secrets." Her words were cold, but for the first time in decades, they were also final. The royal family splinters. Charles cleans house. And behind palace walls, the fallout triggered a quiet but ruthless reset. King Charles, already under pressure to modernize the monarchy, took swift action. Prince Andrew was officially cut off. No more funding, no more soft privileges. Sarah Ferguson's title was placed under internal review. And Meghan? She was now considered persona non grata. There was no formal announcement, no press release, just silence, and subtle removal from every royal channel. Meanwhile, Catherine and William rose quietly in the background, untouched by scandal, respected by staff, and hailed by the public as the monarchy's future. The new phrase whispered through palace corridors: duty over disaster. Charles had drawn the line. No more indulgence. No more protection for the disgraced. And for the first time in years, the crown looked like it was ready to fight for survival, even if it meant turning against its own. The final reckoning, Meghan's image versus Sarah's truth. Everything Meghan Markle had meticulously built, from powerful keynote speeches and sleek Netflix projects to global campaigns and her image as a modern, progressive royal, was beginning to fracture under pressure. The carefully curated narrative was unraveling, not by scandalous press or tabloid gossip, but by someone once considered harmless: Sarah Ferguson. Sarah, long seen as a relic of the royal past, had suddenly stepped into a new, unexpected role, not as a bystander, but as a truth-teller. She came armed with receipts, timelines, and a voice sharpened by decades of being overlooked. Her revelations weren't vague. They were pointed, personal, and undeniably real. The public reaction was split. Some saw Sarah as a woman finally liberated, exposing secrets buried by the crown and controlled narratives. Others accused her of bitterness, using buried memories as ammunition. But no one denied the impact. Sarah had shifted the spotlight, and this time, it wasn't moving away from Meghan. And Meghan? She chose silence. No statement, no clarification, no denial. And in that void, the world did what it always does. It decided for her. Silence is complicity, some said. Silence is strategy, others argued. But most agreed. Silence now sounded like confirmation. Meanwhile, early readers of Sarah's upcoming book began calling it a royal reckoning in ink. A story not just about scandal, but about the system behind it. And now, Meghan stands at a crossroads. Either defend the truth she once controlled, or watch as someone else defines it, page by page, quote by quote, in a voice that refuses to be silenced. Because Sarah didn't just speak, she rewrote the entire narrative. And Meghan? She may soon learn that in royal warfare, the past always finds a way to speak last. What began as a single sentence on live TV has exploded into a full-blown royal crisis. Sarah Ferguson's truth bomb didn't just rattle Buckingham Palace, it shattered carefully protected narratives. With witnesses, logs, and a tell-all book on the horizon, this isn't going away. Meghan's silence grows louder with every headline. Andrew's shadow returns, darker than ever. And the monarchy? Teetering between exposure and damage control. One woman just rewrote history on camera. And now everyone's asking, what was truth? What was strategy? And what comes next? Because the real fallout has only just begun.